The goals of estate planning, I always say, are these four things. And it doesn't matter if it's your family, this woman, my family, Bill Gates, it doesn't matter. We want to avoid probate. We want to pass and protect assets for beneficiaries. We want to plan for incapacity. And we want to reduce or eliminate the estate tax. So let's take this woman. No kids. We had some discussion on, well, where are your assets going to go? Well, she wants them to all go to her 4 other sisters, who are also in their 50s or 60s. I said, do you have any concerns about them getting a divorce, going through a bankruptcy, or any of those other issues? She said, not really. I don't care. I just want them to be able to pay off their home or credit cards or whatever. So we really didn't have a concern with number 2, which is protection. Okay? So I said, well, what do you want to have happen to that house that you own with Randy? She said, well, I want it to go to Randy. And so then I said, well, guess what? You don't need a will. You don't need a trust. What you do need is incapacity documents. She needs Minnesota powers of attorney, general durable powers of attorney, healthcare directives, HIPAA authorizations. We do a joint tenancy deed to Randy. We do beneficiary designations to her sister on her other accounts. And guess what? We just accomplished all 4 goals without a will and not a trust. And it was a very simple, very cheap plan.
What's
$300
cheap?
bucks.
Okay, thank you.
$300. And she accomplished all 4 of her goals. Number 1, she didn't have an estate tax problem because she's at $400 grand. Okay? So that's not a concern. We do need the all the incapacity documents. She doesn't care about protection. And number 1, we're going to avoid probate. Because there's going to be a joint tenancy deed to Randy, and everything else will have a beneficiary designation. So there's nothing for the probate court to decide. Do you see what I'm getting at? So I always look at estate planning, and you should too, is about accomplishing the goals. Let me or the lawyer figure out what tools are in the cheapest, most efficient way to solve those 4 goals. So I think that's a good example. But for your clients that say, why do I need a will or a trust? Is in Minnesota, I hope you all know, some of you I see are new faces in here, but I need you to understand that in Minnesota, we can protect the assets for beneficiaries in a unique way. That's Morrison versus Doyle. And it says that beneficiaries, typically kids, can inherit the assets, and it will be completely free from any future divorce, lawsuit, claim of any kind. There are no exceptions to it in Minnesota as of today. That means even child support and alimony can't get at it, okay? But to have that protection, this is the key, you may want to write this down, is there is no protection outside of a will or a trust. It must flow through a will or a trust to get that protection. So what you should be thinking about is protection important? And if you ask about it and say, do you want to protect the assets and make sure that it won't go sideways to creditors or to spouses of kids? If they say yes, they need a will or a trust. If they don't care about that, they need a plan that accomplishes those 4 goals. But we can do that without a will or a trust, and it's cheap. So that is my answer.
So does that mean then assets that have specific named beneficiaries, i.e. variable or annuity products or IRA accounts, that the beneficiary shouldn't then should that be named to the trust or the estate? Or?
Well, yeah, it depends. But typically, if it's a married couple, okay, for IRAs, annuities, those kind of things, the primary beneficiary will be the spouse. The contingent beneficiary, if they have an estate plan, will either be the trustees under my trust,
Got it.
or the trustees probated under my last will. Okay, so if they had a will, it's going to be probated. But it must flow through a will or a trust to get protection. Must. So the key is, do they like protection? If they do, they need a will or a trust. No exceptions. Because if it flows outside of an estate plan, it will get to the beneficiaries, it just will not be protected. And so to me it's simple, but I do this every day, so maybe it's not So simple. Does anyone have any questions about that?
So when you
Yep.
say protected, you